time for Pot of the Dead. Join us!
Hello and welcome to Pot of the Dead, the internet horror film club that nobody asked for. I am your humble curator this month, Natasha.
And for this month, I am your final girl, Nicholas. On today's episode, we are covering the 2005 remake of the Amityville Horror.
There's something evil in my house.
On April 15th, the windows are the eyes to its soul. The Amityville Horror, rated R, starts Friday, April 15th.
Amityville Horror is a supernatural horror film directed by Andrew Douglas and starring Ryan Reynolds, Melissa George, and Philip Baker Hall. This one is written by Scott Kozer, which is based on the novel, The Amityville Horror, which that movie was an adaptation of the original from 1979 of the same name. This is also the 9th film in the Amityville Horror series.
Oh, yes.
So that's cool.
Well, series is a light thing.
Okay.
So like
canon?
the big, well, not even that. Like the Amityville name isn't copyrighted. So like literally anybody, like Amityville Dollhouse. Like there's actually a billion movies, but like that have the Amityville just slapped on it.
I saw one. It was called The Real Amityville Horror, and it looked very generic. This one though is inspiration for The Conjuring, which you can definitely see a lot of similarities. It still follows the Lutz family after they move into 112 Ocean Avenue in Long Island.
Ocean Avenue?
Yeah.
The Yellow Card song?
The Yellow Card song.
Is that
There's
what that song's about?
There's a place on Ocean Avenue. It's about...
It's where you shoot your family with a shotgun. I did not really look into the lyrics of that song.
Oh, man. Yeah. Anyway, maybe the same place.
We'll never know. Kill this family forever.
So that's it.
That's what the movie's about. And
if you want more, just listen to the Yellow Card song, and it's a musical adaptation of the Amityville Horror.
Absolutely. So yeah, like this, like you talked about how this was the influence for The Conjuring, where that comes from, like the influence. It's not 100% that this film was the influence for The Conjuring. So short side railing, The Conjuring is based on the Warren family, right? Mm-hmm. Who are some like, they're con artists basically, like that's come out that they like did all that. Their big claim to fame though was their dealings with the Lutz family with the Amityville haunting.
Got it.
So that is where like that like lineage and stuff comes from. And then James Wan made the Conjuring films, which are AKA Christian superhero films in my book. And then so The Conjuring's not bad. But it's just one of those things that it's like, the Warren family are the ones that worked with the Lutz family and blah, 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 blah.
Got it. It's all tied together.
Yes. So that's why, like, if you think that The Conjuring ripped off the Amityville Horror, it's like, they're kind of all just the same, just under a different name.
Got it.
It depends on who we're following. Because, like,
gotcha.
in the Amityville films, at least the first one, you're following the Lutz family.
And it's come out that the Lutz family have come out and said that like that story was all a farce anyway.
Yeah, it was fabricated and all this stuff. And when this movie, the remake, was being made, George Lutz actually was like pushing, like took legal action because he didn't want it to be remade and stuff like that, and all sorts of stuff. It was a whole thing. So, but also, I previously stated when we covered the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake that you picked for this month that it was directed by the same person. I was incorrect, so I'd like to throw that out there. The thing that I thought it was that Michael Bay produced both of these films.
Gotcha.
So they're both Platinum Dunes directed, or produced rather. But also another thing that's really interesting that I'm finding is that Michael Bay has a penchant for getting directors for his films in this era that their only history is that they did music videos. But it's
Whoa.
because I kind of looked into it. That's Michael Bay's background before he started directing stuff. Like his directing stuff in the 90s was like The Rock and Armageddon and Bad Boys.
Awesome.
And before that, he was doing music videos. So that's like the Michael Bay touch. It's like, let's get music video directors. We can probably get them for a little cheaper, make these adaptations, which that's kind of what Platinum Dunes was doing. They're kind of like the Dark Castle stuff of like the House on High. That's kind of how it feels. I don't think that they are as quote unquote beloved. Like the Dark Castle films are just so campy and stuff, where these ones are definitely trying to be more serious to a different extent, whether it works for you or it doesn't. So also, this is by far the weirdest Mint Mobile commercial I've ever watched.
See, this movie's so old, I can detach myself from current Ryan Reynolds. Thankfully.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Drew watched this with me, and he could only think of Deadpool also anytime that Ryan Reynolds talked. I didn't have that, oddly enough.
Oh yeah, there's so much Ryan Reynolds-ness in this that if you've watched a lot of his films and stuff, and I've watched a fuck ton of his stuff. Like I've always liked Ryan Reynolds. His charm is like wearing off because I've watched him ever since Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place.
Yeah.
Like back when we were kids. But the motherfucker falls the same way in everything that he's in. If you ever notice, he always falls to his side. He never falls forward. Like there's just all this weird stuff, like his like little quips here and there. Like it just seemed like nobody writes those kind of things. It's like they just kind of lean into him to do that. But so Michael Bay produced 2005. What do you think its budget was? Also, this is after Platinum Dune's success, using that lightly, with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. If you want to hear our takes on that, go listen to the episode.
Yeah. This movie was made for $37 million.
Jesus Christ, what kind of fucking movie do you think they're making here? It's just a house and some CGI flies.
And Ryan Reynolds.
But this is before Ryan Reynolds became Deadpool. This is before, this is during like the time when he was doing Waiting and shit like that.
I forgot about that movie, yeah.
Yeah, so the budget for this film was $19 million. So it comes out 2005. I believe the trailer that we just watched said it came out in April. And so what do you think it ended up making on the year?
$37 million.
What is with you in these 30s? I made $107.5 million.
Oh, wow.
It was a successful film.
Okay, yeah.
So our history with this film is the same history with this film. This is one of the few films that you and I watched in theaters when we were younger. So I think you were still in high school. I was pretty fresh out. And I think we went, we probably just went to Toledo. I feel like we went to Toledo and saw it. And I remember having fond memories of this movie. And going into this week, I was very reluctant to watch it. Not because of this movie, but I remembered having fond memories of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. So I was like, oh no, is this going to be as ass as that? So
I did not have, I too had fond memories. I loved this movie when we saw it in theaters. I remember being so terrified and I was excited. I was blissfully ignorant going into this movie because I had fond memories. And let's just say, I wish I wouldn't have picked this movie to watch.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That happens, So this was the last picture MGM released as an independent company. The studio was acquired by several companies, including Sony for a brief period in the middle of the promotion for this movie. Several other movies, including Into the Blue and The Pink Panther, were already produced and set to release by MGM, but at the time of the buyout, they were later released by Sony. So this is like the lion at the beginning is like, this is an MGM film. It's like, this is
Yeah.
technically the last one that it's like MGM is like the company doing it, which I thought was kind of neat.
Yeah. Also kind of sad, like the end of an era, and this
Oh,
is
yeah.
what they ended on.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. So the George Lutz character, played by Ryan Reynolds, that was not their initial casting decision that they wanted to. They actually went after James Van Der Beek, who turned it
Ugh.
down.
Good.
Good. It would have been a different movie, but I don't mind James Van Der Beek specifically because, like, I think he's good in Varsity Blues, and I think he's good in Rules of Attraction. If you've ever seen that, that's a really good movie. It's like a really dark, fucked up kind of romance movie. It's written by Bret Easton Ellis, who made, like, he wrote the book that American Psycho is based on. and
Okay.
all sorts of stuff. So it's got that real dark kind of feel to it. But yeah, there's a lot of like little interesting tidbits about like the acting choices in this film, because that's the big thing, is that it feels like Ryan Reynolds is in a different movie than everybody else in this movie,
Okay.
in my opinion, because like, whether this is just my take on it, okay? So like, whether you agree with me or not is up to you, obviously.
Mhm.
But it's like, I think that he is doing a great job of playing somebody that is like, you know, a doting stepfather kind of guy, and then he's no longer Ryan Reynolds, because I can't really think of another movie where he is like this mean.
No. I
So-
agree.
So like, it's interesting to see that kind of change in him, and then everybody else is just like kind of in a movie. But like, I think Ryan Reynolds really does earn his paycheck in a way in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. Like he's the one going through all of that, so he's acting his ass off, where everyone else just kind of gets to be background.
Yeah, they're just reacting to Ryan, to George Lutz's, character.
Mhm.
But there is definitely like it basically is almost like a switch. There is not a slow deterioration through this film. It's like
Right.
he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" to just being like, "Ah!"
Yeah, I'm gonna go kill a dog. Yeah.
So, but the reason I said like it seems like he's in his own movie or whatever is that Ryan Reynolds chose not to become close with his on-screen children. He was not mean or rude to them, just very distant. So distant, in fact, that the children often confided to those on set that Ryan doesn't like us. Reynolds said that he did not want to fall in love with the kids. He did this so that when George Lutz starts to change, he would not have trouble easing into the verbal and physical abuse. And that's kind of like the thing, is like, there is like, you can feel that kind of disconnect in this
Mhm.
movie. Because I don't think that this movie is like poorly acted or anything like that. There just are some definite 2005 vibes in this that there's a reason I'm not a big person on going back and watching these movies, like the bigger production movies from 2005, because they tend to come out like this,
Mhm.
But this, I will say, this is not as bad as Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I feel relatively positive towards this. It's not, good Lord, it's not that fucking movie. So, but this is the cinematic debut of Chloe Grace how do you pronounce her last name? Mortez or whatever? Moritz. That's how I can see it. I
Yeah.
can't pronounce it because there's Z's and E's and T's, and it's a big old mess in my brain. But yeah, I once I saw her, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot she was in this movie, and I didn't realize though that it was the first movie that it's her debut, and she does a good enough job for a young child.
Yeah.
That's the big thing with this movie, is since it does revolve around, kids and stuff like that, I'm not sure there's a single child. Like, she does well enough, but I
Mhm.
don't think there's a single kid in this movie that I was like, yeah, I liked them. Specifically Billy. I fucking hated that kid.
I think we're supposed to. He's the 12-year-old son or stepson who lost his dad. Like, he plays that cynical kid well.
Yeah, it just
And then
something about his face. It's that face thing again. I can't help it. It's just
you
got
just have a
face on
problem
us.
with kids'
I
faces.
just got a problem with faces in general, and so does George Lutz. It seems like in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I really liked the little boy. I felt for him.
Jimmy Bennett playing Michael Lutz.
Yeah, he was just so sweet and just so innocent.
Yeah.
I liked him the best out of the three.
Yeah, I would say he's the more, I don't want to say relatable, but he is the one that is emoting the most.
You can relate to a 6-year-old little boy.
I can relate to running to the bathroom in the middle of the night and being like, something's going to get me.
Yeah, I don't want to do this.
Yeah. So, let's say, this is a remake of a book based on a video game, based on the puzzle on the back of the box of cereal, right? So it's our turn. It's our turn to remake it.
Yeah.
So, coming from Pot of the Dead, no Michael Bay to be seen for this one. Tell me what your dream remake casting would be for this film.
Okay. For Kathy, instead of who's playing it in this movie, I picked Rebecca Hall.
Who's that?
She's from The Night House.
Oh, okay.
Among other things. The Gift, long dark hair. I picked her primarily because of her look. I think she fits into the 70s really well. Almost like a modern day version of the woman who plays the wife in The Shining.
Okay.
So we've got Rebecca Hall. She's a really good actress. For George, it took me a bit because, like you said, Ryan Reynolds steals the movie. I couldn't really think of anyone else who could be George until I thought of Jude Law.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah, I think he could fit in that like creepy yet like hot. Let's be real. There's a lot in this movie where instead of in most horror movies, you have the woman in the rain in the tank top, we get Ryan Reynolds chopping wood shirtless multiple times.
Oh yeah.
So
you're gonna have to cite my pros and cons list later on in the episode to see what I might be talking about there, whether it's a pro or a con. It is brought up.
For Billy, I want to go with Joseph Gordon-Levitt to have that like edgy dude, like edgy kid that is also kind of soft. For Michael,
are you talking about from the era of like Third Rock from the Sun, a little younger even? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, these are for the rest of this. This is like not current day, obviously.
Yeah.
But for Michael, have you ever seen Stuart Little?
Yeah.
Okay, so the spiky-haired kid from Stuart Little.
The kid from Jerry Maguire.
Oh, yeah, Jonathan Lipnicki. I want him to play just that sweet boy with glasses.
Yeah.
And Mara Wilson for the little girl. She's Matilda in the original Matilda.
Oh, okay. I can see that.
Like a smart, sassy, sweet little girl.
Now, did you have a director in mind for this, or are you directing it yourself?
From now on, I feel like it's just going to be Natasha's directorial debut. I get the cast, and then I'm the writer, director, editor, producer.
You're the Quentin Tarantino of remakes?
Yes.
All right.
And we'll just see how it goes.
All right. So for my remake, the director is going to be Ty West. So Ty West from X and all that, like, because I think he does a really good job of like doing like doing films that are supposed to encapsulate a time and everything. And I think that, this being set in the 70s, I think he could do a pretty good job making it feel like that. George Lutz, I have cast as James McAvoy. After watching, what was it?
Speak No Evil.
Yeah, Speak No Evil. Yeah. I can just pick him up and drop him into that.
That's awesome. Yeah. Oh, he'd be so scary.
Katie Lutz, I would have casted as Emma Roberts, who we have previously had on a movie for when we did the Blackcoat's Daughter.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So Julia Roberts, like niece.
Oh.
Mike, the youngest boy, I have a young Fred Savage from The Wonder Years and Little Monsters. Like,
okay.
I've got him there. Billy, the oldest, I also have Joseph Gordon-Levitt as a younger, so this is just the best cast.
That's awesome.
Chelsea, the young girl, I have her cast as a young Drew Barrymore from like E.T. era and the
Okay.
like. Firestarter.
Nice.
The babysitter in this movie I have cast as Sophie Thatcher. You may know her from Yellow Jackets or Companion that came out this year.
Okay.
So that's who I've got as the babysitter. She's also in Heretic that came out. And then the preacher I have cast as Tim Robbins from Jacob's Ladder. That's who I'm going to have as my preacher. So that's kind of my my dream casting. It's going to cost me a lot of money to sign on all these people and buy a time machine to get Fred Savage, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and Drew Barrymore to be the proper ages. But I think I'll be all right.
I mean, I have that too. So we're up against the same problem.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So let's see here. I've got some stuff to talk about, but most of it is beyond the wall. But I do have something interesting. So remember when I was talking about the like litigation and stuff, George Lutz against MGM. So MGM claimed the remake was based on new information uncovered during research of the original events, but George Lutz later claimed nobody ever spoke to him or his family about the project. When he initially heard about it being underway, his attorney contacted the studio to find out what they had in the planning stages and to express Lutz's belief they didn't have the right to proceed without his input. 3 letters were sent and none were acknowledged. In June 2004, the studio filed a motion of declaratory relief in federal court, insisting they had the right to do a remake, and Lutz countersued, citing violations of the original contract that had continued through the years following the release of the first movie. The case remained unresolved when Lutz died May 8th of 2006.
Dang.
So even though it was not resolved, MGM was still like, we're still fucking making this movie because they've got the money to fucking keep it going.
Right.
We're just going to run you into the ground.
At some point, it'll get resolved because he will end up dropping it, or in this case, dying. That's unfortunate. It's commendable for him as the one that like wrote or was a part of writing the book, and like he came out and said, "Hey, this isn't the truth. I don't want this to go any further. I don't want to perpetuate this."
Yeah.
I can commend him for not wanting it to go further because he would also get a cut from the movie too. Like it's not just for the money. He just wants it all to stop.
Yeah. And so like just as with the original film, the Lutz children had their names changed to protect their identities. So there is no Michael, Chelsea, or Billy Lutz. Yeah. There are 3 Lutz children. But then the house, right? The house is just iconic.
Right.
Those windows, everything, you know? And this is a real house. People own this house. So they get harassed. You know, people want to see the house and all this stuff, right? So except for the attic windows and the vaguely Dutch colonial style, the reproduction of the house does not resemble the actual house in Amityville. As it was at the time of the events were said to have taken place. Also, because of huge tourist interest in the house, the original house has been altered and is now less recognizable. So they basically, like, the end all be all is like, we just need the house to have that, like, large front with the 2 windows. Like, that's the only thing that matters. The 2
windows. Those attic windows are the most important part of that house.
And that's what's, like, crazy is, like, that is real. Like, that is what the house looked like at that time. And it's so foreboding. It seems fake. It seems like something that someone would make up. And this isn't like that's why the Lutz family did what they did or whatever, right? But it's like, what better house to say this shit happened in? Because it's like that fucking house, it's got eyes.
That's the interesting thing, though. That house is, like you said, so iconic. It's almost in the zeitgeist. Like, is it because we've been, you know, shown that house over and over and over again that we feel that way? Or is it just generally because it's just a facade. It's just the front of a house.
It's just a house.
It shouldn't be scary.
Yeah, but it evokes like that.
Exactly.
Sense. But I don't know if it evokes that to people that, like, I saw the original Amityville Horror when I was at Grandma Headley's house. Good Lord. I was probably
Far
younger
too
than
young.
10. It's starring James Brolin, I believe, is who starred in that one. And it's James Brolin's fucking fantastic in that movie. Funny side note, James Brolin's son, Josh Brolin, goes on to play Cable, who runs along with Deadpool in the second film. So I think that's kind of funny and a little tip of the hat. But I remember that movie just being fucking scary. Like, it's a 70s horror film, so we more than likely won't cover it for the podcast, Natasha, but because you have a penchant for poo-pooing on 70s films, but then you make me watch these.
I'm starting to maybe turn a new leaf and
there you
try for the originals.
So, so that's about all I've got that I can say about things before, we get into spoiler territory. But, beyond this point, we're gonna, start openly speaking about this film. If this is your first time listening to us, hello and welcome. We are an internet horror film club, as Natasha previously stated. What that means is at the end of every episode, we give out homework. That homework then is used to come back to the next week. You watch the movie with us, basically, and then we're going to talk about the film. Next week's episode is going to be a Patreon voted on episode. If you go to patreon.com/Pot of the Dead, you'll be able to get voting power and all that jazz. But if you don't want to do that, that's fine as well. Stick around, because we are going to break down the wall in the basement and talk about the Amityville Horror from 2005.
If you'd like to be part of our horror film club, make sure to follow us at Instagram, Threads, and Facebook at Pot of the Dead. All of our episodes can be found at potofthedeadorelse.com or wherever you stream music and podcasts. If you have movie recommendations or questions for us, email us at potofthedead666@gmail.com. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. Or else.
All right. With all that being said, Natasha, would you like to read to me that 10 out of 10 review that you yourself wrote?
I sure can. Oh, that's the one I sent to you. I am, as it were, a horror nut and can thoroughly recommend this film. After seeing the previous Amityville horrors, I wasn't sure. Yeah, remember, this is the 9th one.
It's goddamn Amityville Horrors.
I wasn't sure how this one would rate, as the first one appeared to be true, strictly based on a true story, and therefore unscary. And the others were stupidly unbelievable. This film tops them in a shocking horror whilst trying to stick to a semi-realistic storyline. See, I have a hard time, side note, with everyone saying like what this person's talking about. One was untrue and bad, and this one is based on reality and it's semi-realistic. Like, it's a movie based on fiction, a remake of fiction. Well, it's okay for it to be fiction.
A lot of people outside of like the horror community, though, do not know that this was like, because it's always been like based on a true story, all that stuff, because it was believed to be true for a long time, and it wasn't until later on that it came out that the Warrens were fucking hucksters and all this stuff, and that they worked with the Lutz, like with George Lutz and his family, to like blow up this thing. And like a lot of people don't know that. So the fact that like people like, it's kind of like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, funny enough, where it's like based on true stories, and it's like, I mean, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is lightly based on Ed Gein and stuff like that, but like this is definitely a lot closer to not. Let's remove the fact that it was a lie, right? Yeah. But the original film was based on a book that came out just a handful of years prior. And then, and then this is like remake of that. So like, without knowing, because granted, movie studios are not going to want people to know that it's not like it's fiction, because that's going to sell tickets based on a true story. Ooh, get that true crime,
I mean, the DeFeo murders did happen.
Yes, 100%. The six dead, like that 100% happened. That is a fact. It's the Lutz part of it that is not true.
Incorrect. Yeah. Anyway, it also goes more into the reason why the house is as haunted as it seems. Without giving too much away, this film has several very frightening bits which surpass many horrors in modern times. The lingering image of the little girl and the demonic faces which haunt the family are a great touch. The ending is good, but seems to leave you wondering what happens afterwards. This may not hold greatly to the true story, but it is a fantastic supernatural thriller, a must-see for any horror lovers.
So, I have two different opinions on. I really have a hard time with this movie because there's a lot of good stuff in it. There's a lot of bad stuff. There's a lot of stuff that they added that I don't care for. There's a lot of stuff I added that I do like. It's such a fucking mixed bag because it feels like you have the Amityville Horror story, and then you have this other, if I remember correctly, the whole thing about the Catchem thing in this movie, I don't believe that's even mentioned at all. I think it's just James Brolin loses his fucking mind. We find out the house is kind of haunted from a preacher. They escape. That's kind of the whole shebang. This feels like they just had two ideas for movies, smashed it together, and it's the Amityville Horror. That's my thing. Two differing, different degrees of success on both sides of it, in my opinion. So, yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the catch 'em, kill 'em, that whole side plot, the basement wall and all. I love the movies where the house is just haunted. We don't we don't see things. We're there and we get overwhelmed with whatever, and then somebody goes crazy.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that whole side plot of the Indian burial ground and all of that.
Yeah.
So that was fresh to me 20 years later. It's what's happening?
It's one of those things where it's the over explanation of that stuff is where I think it falters.
Yeah.
But the idea of that, him breaking down the wall and finding this whole area of the tortured stuff, it kind of has a feel of Hellraiser, a touch of 13 Ghosts and stuff down there, which works. But it's when we start going to the library and everything, and we're finding out about the Catchem stuff, that's too much, So we'll get into that. I'm going to read this 1 out of 10.
I'm sorry. Read the 1 out of 10.
Yeah, all right. The Amityville Horror 2005 was a flat-out disaster. First line. The remake was highly unnecessary and pretty much worthless. There was a lot of things about this movie that I just didn't like. I mean, if you're giving it a 1 out of 10, I think that goes without saying. I think you can say everything. It lacked pacing. Agree. Substance and actual scares. Also agree. Slapping together bloody scenes, nasty set pieces, and worthless acting doesn't make a movie. I couldn't believe how bad this was. The original was no classic either, but it was one compared to this garbage. Oh, okay. Hell, the first 3 movies were way better than this tripe. I will not see this movie again. Nothing more than an extended music video with pieces of actual dialogue. Another thing, how can ghosts kill ghosts? Very true. Please, for crying out loud, don't steal from other Don't steal from other movies. I tired of seeing lame knockoffs of Sadako in these films Hollywood will never learn. I don't know.
One just kind of fell apart.
I don't know where the end of that started going, but okay. So yeah, where to start? So we have a family, right? Seems well casted. I don't hate. I mean, I'm not a fan of the kids per se, but I'm not a fan of kids in movies for the most part. Anyway, in horror films rather. They get a fucking new house that they find that's too good to be true.
The tale is old as time.
That tale is old as time. They're going to live the American dream, which it turns out the American dream is a nightmare.
Is murdering your family.
Is murder. So, yeah, you know, Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds in this film, but also being like, this is one of the few movies that I would say that I've seen anyhow that he is actually acting. Like, does that make sense? Because so many times Ryan Reynolds is just being Ryan Reynolds.
Okay, and reading lines, and it's just he's cast for his personality. Where this one is completely different.
Yeah, you don't see him. There's another movie that I can think of that's like another like kind of horror comedy that he was in that is escaping me. Oh, The Voices, I believe is what it's called. That he kind of does this stuff, and it's not too long after this film. I believe it's like within 5 years. It wasn't a big deal, but oh, and he was in Buried as well, and that it's literally like him being buried alive, and he's got a phone, and he's trying to escape.
Yeah, I never watched that one.
I can't watch it.
Nope.
So I'm claustrophobic.
Yep.
So if you want us to watch it,
yeah, that's true.
DM us somewhere, all that jazz. Email us.
And hear how we just sat with sweaty palms and heavy breathing for an hour and a half.
No, I'll probably fucking have a panic attack. But he does a good job, in this. Like when you were talking about casting and stuff at this era, I can't think of someone else that I would have casted. Granted, he had no history of being this character, like acting in this way that I'd seen. So I don't even know how you come to that. But yeah, so you got kids, wife, they find the house, they go in, big spooky house. Oh yeah, you want to buy this house? A family was murdered in here and blah, 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 and all this stuff. He's a contractor, so he's just going to fix this house up, because they're living beyond their means, as you do.
And that's usually how it goes with these big spooky houses. Like, you're tied to it. It comes down to, well, even if we wanted to leave, we couldn't, because everything we own is tied to this house. All of our money is tied to this house.
I don't care. If I believe my house is full of spookums,
yeah,
I don't care. I'm leaving. But the ottoman.
No.
So,
like how you said in your review, the pacing in this movie is tricky because it goes from they've moved in and then he's like within 10 minutes starting to slip into insanity.
Yeah.
I wish it would have been drawn out a little bit more. I get it. It was an hour and a half movie. You got a lot to get through, but there was zero tension in this one.
Yeah. Like the pacing this takes place over 28 days, right? That's kind of the thing that, it's alluded to. Well, not alluded to. They definitely try to explain to you it's been 15 days. It does at one time and then day 28. Like that's it. It's like it just gives us kind of, so you have no sense of like time. It's like, has it been a few days? No, it's been 2 weeks. Okay. Has it been a few days? Oh, it's been a month. So that is where like they try to pick up the pacing and stuff to try, but like realistically they could have just gotten rid of the 15 days and 28 days. You're doing whatever the fuck you want anyway. You've got a fucking Hellraiser basement in this house. They could have just like been like, it was a week. This took a week and fucking whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. We already know it's fiction. Who fucking cares?
That's a really good point. Take that timeline out of it altogether, and then it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel rushed.
No, and like they make it fucking in 2005. That's something that like I would be interested in seeing is a film that, I mean, we kind of already did with The Conjuring, but the difference between The Conjuring and this is that in The Conjuring, you don't have the dad fucking becoming the villain. Right. And that is something I would like to see. Like, I would like to see this movie get a good, like a legitimate good reimagining in the sense of like, we know it's all fake, guys. We all fucking do, but let's just take this house. Let's get let's get this fucking like casting going and let's have it where the dad loses his mind and tries to kill the family. I mean, it's technically The Shining, realistically.
In a sense, yeah.
So
But that's such a good storyline. Those are the ones, like I said, that I really prefer. Just
Mhm.
somebody losing it because of the house.
Yeah. And make it vague. You don't need to fucking explain to me the catch 'em, kill 'em
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, it works in a sense of like, there's the magnets on the refrigerator and stuff, but I always hate the like whispery voice, like, kill them. I hate
Yeah.
that kind of shit because it removes the ambiguity. Like, I think that's the biggest thing that they dropped the ball on with this remake compared to the original is the original just has like this foreboding feeling and you're just watching the father like lose his mind and all this stuff. And I can't remember so much how they get to the point where you find out the house is haunted other than the preacher coming and everything, but it just like, it's not like, oh, and there was this guy and he killed all these Indians or Native Americans rather, sorry. And it's an Indian burial ground because everything fucking was.
Yep.
It's, poltergeist, you moved the headstones, but you didn't move the bodies. But yeah, it's always, good Lord, the
It
70s
is.
and 80s were ripe with, it's an Indian burial ground. Jesus fucking Christ. So we get our babysitter scene, right? So
Yeah.
we get Kathy is the mom. She finds a babysitter so mom and dad can go out on the town and, spice up their life,
Go eat some spaghetti.
Yeah, go eat some spaghetti. And we get Rachel Nichols, who plays Lisa. This is probably one of the better scenes in the movie, I think, when she is taken into the closet. Not her, like, basically, like, being flirty
Yeah.
with Billy. Like, do you French? Can I have your kiss poster? It's such a weird thing.
Smoking in the bathroom. She is the worst babysitter.
She is the babysitter, though. Like, that's what you think of, like, when you think of, like, oh, I found this babysitter at the
Off a
laundry
board
or whatever.
at the grocery store.
Yeah. And she's even like, I fucking suck at babysitting.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the whole idea of like she gets locked in there, she can't get out, there's no lock on the door, all this kind of stuff. That works. I like that kind of tension of like trying to get out, can't get out. But then we get fucking hit with those early 2000s like ooky spooky ghost girl.
Yeah.
I fucking hate that shit. It's very reminiscent of the Silent Hill movie where we just got the young dark-haired girl that's spooky and that's whatever gonna make
It's
you
so
put your finger through my
2005.
head.
Yeah.
It's very edgy.
Mhm.
We also get a lot of like the Jacob's Ladder head shakiness in this
Yeah.
movie, and good Lord.
Yeah, there's a lot of this movie, like I said, that I wish I wouldn't have rewatched now, having being a rather seasoned horror movie watcher. So many of these things, had I watched it probably even 2 years ago, would still be scary to me, but it's not anymore. It's just overdone.
Well, and this is the thing though, is these films are made for your fair weather, like, oh, I want to go see a horror film. I've not seen one in a while. This looks good.
Yeah.
That's not a gatekeeping aspect. We, specifically me, but we are kind of jaded to a lot of that stuff because it's just like, oh, that reminds me of this. I've seen this. And I try to remove that from myself. Like as much as I was like reluctant, like I literally put this off till yesterday to watch. I was like, I don't fucking want to watch this.
Man.
But I did watch it, and it was better than I thought it was going to be, because like I said, I thought it was going to be as garbage as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, and then knowing like it was from the same production company, I was like, oh fuck. But the reason that it's not is because of Ryan Reynolds. I agree. Ryan Reynolds, if you look at it, Ryan Reynolds, Jessica Biel, right?
Yeah.
Jessica Biel's trying to carry the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and it fucking fails.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Reynolds is trying to carry the Amityville Horror and it succeeds better than the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, in my opinion. I mean, you got to remember, you gave Texas Chainsaw Massacre a fucking amazing score.
I did. And I'm not happy about that score now after watching this movie.
Yeah, because
But,
is this better than the Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
We'll find out later on in the episode.
Okay, all right. So, but yeah, there's not a lot to talk about, like, with the narrative of the story, because it's literally just, and then he loses his mind. But there are scenes that I think are like, when George Lutz takes Billy out to fucking chop wood. That is probably the most tense this film gets.
I agree. That scene, I felt so bad for Billy, because that's when you see his, like, he goes from being this hard-ass 12-year-old to just being terrified. So I can understand why Ryan Reynolds didn't want to be friendly, because he had to scare these sweet baby angel kids.
Oh, and he does an amazing job in that scene too, where, what is it, like, if you get shaky, I'll get shaky, because he's making him hold the log while he's chopping it, and just his delivery of that. And when he's like, "Oh, are you crying? Are you going to cry?" And he grabs him by the back of the neck, brings him up. We're having fun. We're friends. We're like, he does a great job in that. And then also when he's at the house and he's losing his mind, they made the decision to make him wear contact lenses that basically makes his irises and pupil just all black. So like, it just, like, his eyes just look more sinister in that aspect, like they're a little more bloodshot and stuff. So when he's gone, he's just got kind of his brown eyes and stuff, but like when he's losing it, they're black. And it does definitely, like, cut through whether you know it or not. There's just something more sinister about bearded Ryan Reynolds right now, you know?
Yeah, definitely the bloodshot. I noticed that, but the darkness, I guess, didn't come across because he has such beautiful brown eyes. The scenes with the boathouse, too, still gave me that, like, ooky, spooky feeling, which is funny because all I could think about was the TV show from our childhood, Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Okay.
Do you remember that? With the opening scene of Are You Afraid of the Dark used to make me so scared, with the swing that would just swing on its own.
Oh, no. Yeah, the clamoring doors kind of thing.
The clamoring doors still gave me like the heebie-jeebies, which is funny.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's something that they do in this film that it doesn't make a lot of sense, because, like, I remember the basement and stuff like that, but, like, he's, like, so focused on the boathouse that you would think that the boathouse, that something was going on there.
Yeah.
Right? But there isn't, even though stuff does end up happening there. You know, there's something out there, so he goes to check, and oh god, there's a freaky monster here, and he kills the dog with an axe.
Yeah.
You know, so Tasha, another winner in the books for you.
That was so sad.
Yep.
Another winner in the books. You would think that less would happen at the boathouse, since the further away you get from the house, the less he has tied to it. So why is he still?
But it's on the property that all the Native Americans are buried on. But
That's right. He found the bodies in the lake. So okay, if we're gonna try to figure this out,
yeah, sure.
If you think about the end, okay. So when she's at the library, I think it is when they found out that like 20 bodies were found in the lake or something like that. So there's that component of it. So bodies in lake from Ketchum. But then the very end of the movie, they're on the boat in the same lake and he's fine.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't. It's so like, it's spookums for spookum's sake, and to actually think about this feels like a movie that had like 10 writers on it.
Yeah.
And just rewrite and rewrite and rewrite, and we forgot that this was brought up, but we're just gonna go here, and like that's it. Like that's just how it goes with some of these movies, you know.
The house has like 100-yard radius, and then he's fine,
I guess.
And Jodie's the only ghost out of the 1600s to the 70s, aside from Ketchum, that exists in that house.
That's upstairs, because we do see the stuff downstairs.
But
when he
is
breaks-
that actually
I don't-
happening, or is
I
I think
don't
he's
know.
asleep during that?
He's just asleep?
Yeah,
Okay.
because then his phone rings or the alarm goes off or something, and then he's like jerked awake.
Okay. See, and that's one of the things that like they added on that I really liked was the breaking the wall down and finding the secret area, whether it's real or not, right? Him doing that, I like. It kind of reminds me of Barbarian.
Yeah.
Where you're like, uh-oh. It does a good job of like, there's a secret room in the basement. That is always a scary thing. Like the room, like think of Martyrs, right? The basement of the basement.
Yeah, that was terrifying. And I liked the way that they did it in Barbarian, but not in this movie because it wasn't necessary.
True.
It didn't seem to fit because that was very 13 Ghosts.
Well,
very
that's where I was saying like it felt like two different movies
Mhm.
smashed together.
Yeah. And when he's like in that room and Mr. Ketchum, was he a priest or
I think
a pilgrim?
He was something.
Okay, that guy. When he's like slitting his throat and Ryan Reynolds is just getting covered in blood. Like,
Yep.
that's too much. Settle down.
Stop squirting all over the place there,
Right.
Ketchum.
Yeah. Just keep it together, man.
Yeah, he's leaving all that ketchum up everywhere.
I would have liked it better had that part not existed at all. Had that part not existed, but Kathy, the mom, her part I was better with. Her like figuring it out with like the microfiche and stuff like that.
The
I would have
research
preferred,
montage.
yeah, I would have preferred that over his dream.
See, I'm the exact opposite. I am the exact opposite. Where granted the ketchum part of him spraying ketchum up everywhere is lame. The finding of like there's like the splayed open back guy and he pulls it up and it's him and all this stuff. Him losing it, like him getting drug into the bathtub. There's another ghost scene, right?
Mhm.
Where he's in the bathtub and they're like all these extra hands pulling him down and stuff. I thought that was okay.
It didn't fit.
It didn't fit?
I don't think it fit. It's very Tool music video when those things are happening. And the rest of it's just like a dingy 70s movie. And
No, and like I said, like this it is. I can't think of like when I gave you that 10 out of 10 review. That was from 2017. So like some people like still like hold this in high regard, but it's because you can also just throw this movie on in the background and it's just like it's not my vibes, but it's just like it is 2005.
right.
2005
Through
and
and
a
through.
half, like it's got an extra heaping scoop of 2005. If you go to fucking what is that fucking Panda Express and get the bigger plate and they give you an extra scoop, that's what this is.
I want Panda Express.
I just had it yesterday. It was delightful.
Mm.
I got a bigger plate of orange chicken.
That's what this movie will remind me of from now on.
This Panda Express, don't let this movie ruin Panda Express for you.
Or maybe it'll make it better because then I'll just eat Panda Express while watching this movie.
There you go.
And then everything will be fine.
I mean, Ryan Reynolds is the orange chicken of Panda Express. Let's just be honest.
I love that. Crunchy and delicious.
Mm-hmm. So
Saucy.
saucy. You know how I like my Ryan Reynolds? Saucy. Shirtless and saucy.
Oh my God.
So let's talk about Ryan Reynolds' abs. The real star of the show. Was it necessary for Ryan Reynolds to be this sexy in this movie?
No. Am I mad about it? Also, no.
Tell me, how do you feel about Ryan Reynolds' abs?
This movie is the best part is Ryan Reynolds' abs. Like I said earlier, it's not necessary at all. There's no point to him being shirtless. I don't know why he is so ripped, but I'm also happy about it.
I don't think I've ever seen him that ripped.
No. I would imagine Deadpool, maybe.
I mean, he's just got to wear the suit, so he doesn't have to show off
We don't
anything.
get to see his body.
So, like, unbeknownst to me, like, it just kind of draws, like, it's accidental with my casting, kind of like James McAvoy.
Oh, that's true.
So unnecessarily ripped.
You just want a really tight white guy to play
I
to
guess.
play George.
I mean, I suppose you got to look good in a beard, and you got to fucking just have banging abs. You got to make you sweaty.
So that's a pro.
All right. You want to get into some pros and cons?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to try starting to do this. All right. We're going to go through your pros and cons list and see what's up. So your pros, the house.
Mm-hmm.
You think the house is a pro for the film?
The house, the set in general is a pro. It's beautiful. It's aged. That, like we talked earlier, that house is so iconic. That's the movie.
Yeah. The sets, which kind of goes with that.
Yeah.
And then Ryan Reynolds' performance.
Yeah. I judged him on his ability, not his looks.
Whatever you fucking producer trying to get Ryan Reynolds into bed. Not Ryan Reynolds. I just want his abs in bed.
Just completely detached from the rest of his body. You just want his torso to snuggle.
Keep me warm, orange chicken, Ryan Reynolds.
Oh my God, this is absurd.
Okay.
But his ability to go from like super tormented, angry, and then like when he's at the doctor's office and he's just back to being sweet, he kills it. He steals the movie.
Absolutely. So your cons. I'm actually super shocked about your first con because this is something that you really tend to like. Jump scares.
Yeah, I don't think I'm a jump scare person anymore.
Yeah.
After this movie with the jarring sound and the trying, I didn't get spooked at all in this movie.
Yep. Little girl on the roof.
Lame. Just that scene in general, once again, just didn't seem needed. It was there to build tension, but it seemed so forced.
It's so contrived. Yeah. It's
Right.
just like, what's scary? Oh, let's put a fucking 6-year-old on basically like 80 feet up in the air.
No one's going to do that.
No.
Ever. And then for them to just not believe that she was seeing a ghost. Like, if at any point in this movie you think that she's doing something because it's not of her own like sound mind, it would be that she's walking a tightrope on the top of the roof.
Yeah. You also have the ghost designs and writing.
Yeah, just general. It left me with a lot of questions. A lot of whys, which we've already talked about. But yeah, as we talked earlier, the ghost where she's just, head shaky in the dark. Yeah. Like, we're just going to have a menacing, dirty looking girl.
Basically, your cons are anything that's supposed to be scary that isn't Ryan Reynolds being scary.
Correct.
Is the best way to look at it. Because you also then have like George seeing her hanging, so many whys with the writing. Yeah. So like where it fails is the writing and the directing.
Mm-hmm.
And Ryan Reynolds just doing the best that he can with what he's given.
Right.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
Now let's look at yours. For your pros, your first one is ripped Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Do we need to talk more about that?
We can if you'd like.
I'm good. Number 2, dope brown leather jacket.
Oh yeah, that leather jacket that he wears when he's going out to dinner is so fucking good. It fits him so nice.
Specifically, what about the dressing for the rest of the movie, or is it solely just that jacket?
It's solely that jacket. It sticks out so much. He looks like the period appropriate clothing for everyone is good, but that fucking jacket is so nice.
Doesn't he also have like the long collar? Like he has really big fins on his collar.
Yeah, you got those 70s fucking like swanky swinger shirts.
Yeah. Another pro of yours is it was only 90 minutes.
Yeah, I think it was actually 89 minutes.
Even better.
Yes. In and out. Because I will give movies a pass. If they are the worst movie ever, but I'm not here forever. Okay.
Yeah, it's a pro. Cute dog.
Yeah, it was.
Was.
Until it wasn't.
Until it was no longer a dog.
Yep.
And well acted for the most part.
Yes. Talking about like, Michael, the little boy, George and Kathy, the parents, the preacher, Father Calloway, played by Philip Baker Hall. I think like unsung, I think he does a great job of being a believable, like Catholic priest kind of guy. but we get those shitty ass CGI flies, and it reminds me of The Wicker Man with Nicolas Cage. Where it's like, not the bees. It's literally that.
Yeah. And thinking about him, this goes back to bad writing. He's the one person that can help them out of anybody, and he flees the scene.
Yep. And that's that's from the original and everything. Like the flies attacking, he's just like, this place is evil, I can't be here. Like,
but he needs to be there.
Yeah.
He's the priest. He's the only person that can help them.
Well, he can get a hold of a cardinal or a bishop or something like that. This is beyond my power.
Okay, fine. Even though he had all the things, he was shaking the stuff.
I like it. I did like when he's throwing the holy water. And it's hitting the ground and boiling instantly. Yeah. I like that. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Had it just been that.
Yes.
Or even that with like the little whispers, but they're like unintelligible coming from the vent.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
5 billion CGI flies. No thanks.
Too many. Onto your cons. You have Billy, which I'm surprised by.
Yeah. I just could not stand Billy. Like, he's so, like I said, it's his fucking face. There's something about that kid that, like, if I had a friend that had a child that looked like him and came over, I'd want to slap him. It doesn't matter. God. It doesn't matter if he's the nicest kid in the world. I just see his face and I'm like, there's something about this kid.
Oh, man. Ouch. Poor Billy. You also have boring, uninspired script and vanilla direction.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's very of its time. It's just, let's get this out there.
Yeah. Let's have heavy music and some screechy, loud noises, and that'll get people scared.
Yeah.
Stupid ass ghosts that look like they were in 13 Ghosts.
Yep.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, that's a good con.
Which is, again, kind of interesting because you liked that scene where it has all of them in prison cells.
Yes, but they look fucking stupid. I like the idea of the scene, but the ghosts themselves look dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
They're literally just like white contacts and just like painted kind of shittily.
Yeah. And another one with that is everything is so dark. I'm trying to think of the right like cinematography term.
Oversaturated in contrast.
Yes, the contrast is so harsh.
Yeah.
And I'm over that in movies.
That is this era.
Yeah, I've noticed.
It's like color grading to make it look grimier, over contrast and saturation of certain colors. And that's why this is spooky, because it's got a blue or a green tint to it.
Yeah. And really harsh shadows.
Yeah.
And CGI flies / Get Out.
Yeah, because it's just like, get out. When the flies are coming, it's like, that's fucking stupid.
Like the house is talking to him.
Yeah, I'm not cool with that. I don't like that shit. It's dumb as fuck.
Yeah. I wish we would have watched this movie before Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because I feel like I'm a little swayed having this be the second 2005 movie. And then you have a pro / con question mark.
Yeah, these are things that happen in the movie. I don't know how I feel about that.
I see. Okay, so the first one we've already talked about. Ryan Reynolds feels like he's in a different movie than the rest of the cast.
100%.
Yeah, which I think it makes sense that he's in a different movie because he has a different reality.
Correct.
So
and
I think that works.
I think that like it works, but in different. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if it's a pro or a con. You know, like I like kind of what he's doing and going through and everything, but like it's so jarring that it's kind of a con.
I see. I mean, it's the movie, so I think that's just the general overarching theme of the movie.
Your argument is that it's the movie. Sorry. You win the debate. Yeah, but it's the fucking movie, Nick. Oh, yeah, okay, sorry.
It's not a part of the movie. It is the movie.
I'm sorry. God damn.
Another pro / con question mark is the basement scene feels like it's from Hellraiser. Yeah, we've talked about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's about it. That's what I got to say about this movie.
Yeah.
Got anything else that you want to point out?
No. I did a little digging into like the true crime aspect of the DeFeo murders. And even Ronnie has come out from he died semi-recently in prison, but I guess he only got 25 to life, which I thought was interesting, having killed multiple people. He like 25 years was an option for him. But he's even come out and changed his story a bunch. Like he's come out and said like he wasn't possessed. It was, my sister or my mom, and I didn't want to, defile my mom's name and blah, blah, blah. There was also a little tie to like mob families with this. Like his uncle was a part of like a Long Island mob family.
Okay.
So there was a weird tie in there. I won't get into too much detail, but I felt like I would be remiss if I didn't even like look into the DeFeo murders.
Oh yeah.
So I wanted to see like if that even really happened.
Yeah, I
to
knew
the
that
extent
had
that it did.
happened. But we completely missed something.
Okay.
That before we get into homework and everything, that we didn't actually talk about, that we usually talk about at the beginning. And that's what was coming out at the time.
Oh, shit.
It's fine. But, we can see, we're talking about, of its time and all this stuff, right? The Amityville Horror was the 4th highest grossing horror film for the year that it came out. So it did do well. Yeah. Saw 2 came out that year. That was the number 1. The Ring 2, The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Those were your top 3 for that year. Other films that came out was like House of Wax, starring Paris Hilton.
Okay, yep.
The Fog remake. White Noise, which I think is like a very underrated movie. It's Michael Keaton, and it deals with like, what is that? Where you like find voices in the static.
Ooh, that sounds spooky.
Yeah, it's not bad. Like, granted, it might be because I haven't watched it in a long time.
Yeah.
But I remember it being okay.
There's always the caveat for this era of it was an early 2000s horror movie.
Absolutely. So, also though, the top films for this year were Hitch. Number 9 was Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Madagascar, Batman Begins, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Wedding Crashers, The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, War of the Worlds, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, and number 1 being Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Man, I've seen every one of those movies.
Have you?
I have.
I think I saw quite a few of those, but I don't think I saw them all. I know
there aren't very many years where I don't see, or there aren't very many years where I've seen all of the movies, and those, yeah.
So taking that into consideration and stuff, it kind of gives you like, this is what 2005 is. This is a 2005 ass movie.
Yeah.
So, you ready to get into our scores?
Mm-hmm.
All right. What do you got, Tasha? I think.
Okay.
Let's see here. I think that you gave this a 4.5.
You are correct.
Yes.
Which makes me sad because I think I gave Texas Chainsaw Massacre like a 9 or an
8.5.
Which
would you like to rescind that score?
Yeah, I would.
Okay, so what are you giving the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? This is your month. This is Women's History Month. You do whatever you want because I'm gonna wreck you next month.
Oh fuck! I'm gonna give Texas Chainsaw Massacre a 3.5.
There
and we're gonna give this a 4.5 because
okay,
man. I don't plan on watching this again. It should have been just tucked back in history in my mind of it being so scary and kind of kicking off the psychological thriller horror movie love that I have because, man, 20 years later, it's not good.
It's got... I'll give it this,
not as good as I remember.
True. I will give it this, though. Both of the posters for this movie are fucking cool. Like, I really like the posters for this movie. Just the foreboding house and, like, Ryan Reynolds holding the shotgun. We didn't even talk about that. When he, like, the door swings open, he's just holding the shotgun and walking up the stairs and... It's pretty cool. Like, anything with Ryan Reynolds in this movie kind of works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is spooky. He's spooky. The boathouse doors are spooky. For whatever reason, I don't have that nostalgia factor to this movie like I did with, say, 13 Ghosts.
Yeah.
And I think it might be because I watched this when I was older versus watching it.
How many times did you watch 13 Ghosts compared to this when you were younger?
So many more times.
Yeah. Yeah, you watched 13 Ghosts a lot.
I did, yeah. So, unfortunately... I'm giving this a 4.5.
Okay.
I think you are going to give it the same.
I'm giving it a 5.5.
Oh, okay.
I would rewatch this, like, I'm not going to be like, no. If someone's like, hey, let's watch the Amityville Horror, I'd be like, okay. Because it is under 90 minutes. It's like 90 minutes. It's not that big of a fucking, like, thing. And Ryan Reynolds is good in it. I'm cool with watching that. I can overlook literally everything else that's supposed to be scary in this movie because Ryan Reynolds is the scary part of it, and he's most of it, like the movie anyhow. So yeah, if Wesley wanted to see fucking another horror film or whatever, and he came across this and was like, hey, let's watch this. This looks creepy. I'd be like, all right, you probably think it's creepy because, he's younger and he's not that familiar with these kind of movies and stuff.
Right.
I would be interested to see like people's take on it from that aspect.
Yeah.
But, 100%. Like, I remember liking this when it was in theaters. You obviously remembered liking this in theaters. So if like turning this over to kids and stuff, I think it's good in that aspect because even though it's rated R, it doesn't go that hard. Like, would you let Wyatt watch this?
God, no.
What?
No, but I could see Sid watching this.
Oh, I could see Wyatt watching this.
I
You let him
couldn't see
watch Nosferatu.
I did. That's fair.
I think
he watched-
Nosferatu's far darker.
The difference is Nosferatu's a monster,
Ryan Reynolds is a monster.
but Ryan Reynolds is a human.
Nosferatu's a human.
No, he's not. He's undead.
Anyway.
There's a difference.
So
primarily because of the beginning of the movie, I wouldn't let Y watch this with the family murders, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that like I don't care for him to see. But when it comes to like a vampire killing someone, it's so removed. It's
and
so
I
different.
think that's actually pretty effective with like the lightning and everything.
Mhm.
Like, because it's not like they did it by just editing and just black, like just cutting it. And I think that kind of worked. Somebody else could be like, that was the worst part of the movie, whatever. But IMDb is like right in between us. Actually it's a little higher than me. It gives it a 5.9.
Okay.
Which is surprising, but at the same time, not.
Ooh. So this movie gets a 53.
I think that's 100% fair. Barely making it to you'll more than likely like it.
Yeah.
Out of 100 people, 53 of them would say, yeah, I don't mind that movie. And I think that's fair.
And I think it would be higher for those that don't watch a ton of horror movies.
Correct. Like, it's definitely, I don't want to say baby's first rated R horror, but I think that this era is perfect for that.
Mhm.
Like, you're going to get your fucking shocking, like a Tool video, like you said, like, shaky heads, that's creepy, like the Jacob's Ladder stuff and everything. But at the end of the day, that works for teenagers. The great teen rated R horror, I think that it works on that.
Yeah.
So, all right, it's homework time. Next week is going to be our Patreon voted on episode.
Oh, what did it give us?
And the votes are in for 2001's Frailty.
Okay.
So this is going to be a first watch for me. I don't believe that I've ever seen this.
It's a first watch for me too. It's one that sounded really good.
Okay.
So it'll be new for all of us.
Absolutely. So that'll be interesting. I think I'm going to just order it like the Blu-ray because the Blu-ray is not super expensive. I don't know if this is streaming anywhere outside of a paywall.
I think you're right. Which Amityville Horror was also a paywall for streaming.
I watched it on Tubi.
Oh, did you have commercials?
Yeah, but I knew that this movie wasn't going to be amazing, so I wasn't worried.
That's fair. Yeah, this is on YouTube with a primetime subscription. It's on Hulu with a premium subscription, Sling, Amazon Prime. So it looks like there will be most likely like a $2.99 or a $3.99 paywall.
Okay. So that's what we're doing next week. Frailty, 2001. For Pot of the Dead, I am Nicholas.
And I am Natasha.
Come back and listen to us, or else.